Don't you just hate it when you run out of supplies, specifically ear wires? You're making a bunch of earrings and you reach into your supply box and all of a sudden you're out. Well, I'm going to give you a quick tentacle tip on how to make your own ear wires. Let's get started. Well, the first thing that you're going to need are a couple of beads to make your earrings out of, chainmail, anything like that. And to make the ear wires, you're going to need wire. Now, I'm using a 20 gauge wire here. You can use just really anything. Most of the craft wires that are out there have a coating, so they're not coming in direct contact with your skin. Or you can use a stainless steel, anything like that. A popular size for ear wires is going to be 20 gauge or 21. That's going to fit just about everyone's earlobes. The next thing you're going to need are the tools to shape and cut your wire to make the ear wires. You're going to need a pair of round nose pliers, a pair of chain nose or flat nose pliers to move the wire around, and for the chain nose pliers or flat nose, the ones that I'm using there are also Zuron, and these are number 475, which is a short nose plier, and a good pair of shears. You're going to need a few things to round the shape of your wire. Not just your round nose pliers, something a little bit bigger. So I have a couple of options here. I've got a permanent marker, which makes a great mandrel. I've got a ring mandrel, so you can use that. And just good to have some options there. Then, once we make our ear wires, we want the end to be smooth. And so I'm using a wire rounder on the end of my ear wires. You can use just a little bit of sandpaper or anything like that, but using a cup burr or wire rounder is really going to give you that great finishing touch. And finally, in order to work harden your wire and help it hold its shape, I have a bench block and chasing hammer. Now you can guesstimate the wire amount that you're going to need, but a tape measure or ruler, something like that, is always going to come in handy to replicate what you end up making. Now the first thing I'm going to do is show you some differences in the pre-made standard ear wires that you're going to see and the ones we're going to make today. Now these are just two examples of your standard ear wires. You see this is a ball end. It has the loop on the end where you hang your dangle. It's got the ball, the spring, and that standard French ear wire look. And here is just a nice little charm. There's no ball on this one, but there's a spring, and this one is dapped, which means that right here around the curve, it's been flattened a little bit. And that's what I was talking about we're going to do with our chasing hammer, and that's going to help everything hold its shape. Now here's an example of an ear wire that I've made, which you can see it's very similar, but the dimensions, it's a little bit longer, so you can really make these unique to yourself. You can coil some wire to make that spring if you like, or just leave it as is. And then I'm going to show you how I have used these ear wires on a couple of pair of earrings. I'll show you my signature brand Octopus and the earrings that I'm wearing. So my Octopus here has a little bit of a fancy curly Q going on. So you can see that. And the earrings I'm wearing are just the simple French hook. A little bit of dapping on that. There are so many variations of this design. I'm going to show you the basic look and let you go from there. To start off, you're going to need to cut and straighten some wire. I'm going to do that the opposite direction. I'm going to straighten and then cut some wire. I'm using my fingers. You can use nylon jaw pliers. Instead of your fingers, you can use a polishing cloth, anything like that. But I am just running my fingers along to get out all of the kinks from this 20 gauge wire that's been in a spool. Now this wire is from Beaded. It is a 20 gauge silver plated, so it has a copper core in the middle and silver plating on the outside and a nice polymer on the outside to help it be tarnish resistant. Now, grab my ruler here and I'm going to measure 2 pieces of wire at 3 inches each. Don't know that we're actually going to use 3 inches, but that'll give us a place to start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is right there. And give that a cut. So I've cut these pieces at 3 inches in length. And just to make sure, I'm going to line them up so they're even on this side, flip them over, and make sure they're even on this side by cutting that. Now the key to making symmetrical ear wires is to do them both at the same time. I have my 2 pieces of wire here, and I'm going to come in at the end and use my round nose pliers and make the curl that's going to hold whatever dangle I like. So I've got my round nose and I'm just going to grab right here so you can barely see the end of the wire sticking out between the jaws. And then I put my finger on the end and I am going to roll, and then I loosen my grip, turn my hand, grab this again, and roll again. I've almost made it to the end, so loosen my grip, turn my hand, and roll until the end of my wire touches itself right there. And I've done both of those at the same time. And I need to shape these into the loop of the French hook. So I'll stack them back together, make sure they're all centered, and then I decide how big of that circle that I want. A standard that I like to use is just a simple permanent marker that you see all the time. It's the fine point version, but you can also use the regular point version. There's not much difference in the diameter, but I'll show you how this works. So I've got my marker here and I put those loops against my marker and I am wrapping around. I'm going to go a little bit past where they meet. Like so. And slide that out. So this is the shape that I have so far. Then I come in with my short nose pliers here and decide where I want that little bit of a hook. And that little hook is going to get the end of the wire out of the way of whatever dangle you're using. So I come straight across and just give that a little bend. And it's also going to point this end kind of away from the earring, so it's going to be easier to put on. Now, I don't really care for all of that sticking down on these because I'm going to make short little dangles. So all I need to do is come in here and clip off what I don't need. So I'm going to do that again at the same time. There we go. And that's what I have. Now, the next step on these ear wires is to round off the ends so that they're going to be comfortable to put in your ears. So let's do that. See if I can get a good close-up here so you can see the way that end looks. A wire rounder or a cup burr is a tool that has a little cup on the end, and there are little file teeth inside that cup. And so when you turn this, it's going to wear down the edges of your wire and round it off, make it much more easier to wear. This is a handheld one, and you just rotate this around. So let's look at a comparison of the ends. So I just have to do the other one, and I'll show you how to dap these with the chasing hammer. Now the next step is to work harden these with the chasing hammer. So I've got my bench block here that gives me something hard to hit against, and I've got my chasing hammer from Beaded. So I'm going to do these one at a time. Now if you don't have the best aim, what I recommend is to work off the end. You can hold this off of the end, that way you're not going to hit your fingers, or you can work in the middle and hold this down with your fingers. Just be very careful to not hit your fingers. Hold this and just give it a few taps. Not hitting hard at all. I'll show you the difference. Barely tell. This one's just a little bit flatter. Now you can stop there because this is the one that's not been hammered. So it is a little more springy. This one has been hammered, does not want to move really at all. So I'm going to hammer this one to match. So these ear wires are pretty much ready to use. So let's find a dangle and put it all together. I don't think you can go wrong with pearls, so let's just do some simple pearl dangles. Now I have to open up this loop at the bottom. I'm not going to use the round nose pliers to do that. I want to keep that round shape. So I'm going to come in with my short nose pliers, grab the end here and just turn like so. Grab my pearl dangle here, hook that on and close the loop. I have a beautiful pearl earring. So let's do the other one. As simple as that, I have a matched pair of ear wires to go with a simple set of pearl dangles to make a great pair of pearl earrings. Like I said, learn this technique and you will never run out of ear wires again. I hope you enjoyed this quick tip. Don't forget to subscribe and click on notifications. Give me a like, give me a comment below, and look for more from OctopusDo.